Good morning, friends. So we are going to start our study on plants. But first I want to remind you at the beginning of the school year we talked about the 5 kingdoms, which included the bacteria kingdoms, Protoctista, fungi, plant and animal. Well, in lower elementary we just study plants and animals. So today we're going to talk more about plants. We're going to learn all about plants and their functions. But first we need to take a look at the big picture. We need to look at the plant kingdom. So this is the plantae kingdom, and scientists believe about 1 billion years ago the plants started in water, and they started with red algae and green algae. When the structure of the plant's body was modified differently from the algae over 504 million years ago, the plants were finally able to grow on land. Plants have stiffer bodies than algae, which enables them to resist the pull of gravity. The bodies have more parts, and each part has a specific function. The first plants were very short, and they grew only a few inches tall, and we call those the bryophytes. The etymology comes from the Latin word brio, which means moss, and phyta, which means plant. Bryophytes are the branches of the plant kingdom that include the mosses, the liverworts, and the hornworts. There are more than 20,000 different species, and they're found all around the world. These plants use spores to reproduce instead of seeds and flowers like many other plants do. Bryophytes absorb water and nutrients from their surfaces. They don't have real roots, but anchor themselves with thread-like structures called rhizoids. Many dwell in moist environments such as stream banks and forests. Later, around 440 million years ago, some plants developed vascular tissue that could conduct water and minerals through the plant's body, and fibers that stiffened their stems. These plants were able to grow taller, and they're known as the vascular plants. This branch is called tracheophytes. The branch is divided into 2 groups, the Lycophytes and the Euphylophytes. The etymology of the Lycophytes comes from the Latin word lyco, which means wolf, and phyta, which means plant. The Lycophytes are small plants that grow in moist habitats like forest floors and wetlands, and they grow larger than the mosses. They have a vascular system as well as leaves, roots, and stiffening fibers. Their leaves have only one vein called the microphyllus. The Lycophytes reproduce with spores. And examples of the Lycophytes include club mosses, Selaginella, shining club moss, and spike moss. The second group of the study of tracheophytes is the Euphylophytes, and it is also divided into 2 branches. The monilophytes and the spermatophytes. Spermatophytes. The etymology, the monilophytes are called pteridophytes, and that etymology comes from the Latin terra, which means feather, and phyta, which means plant. The pteridophytes are commonly known as ferns, and they are one of 2 branches of the Euphyllotites, the plants with true leaves. These vascular plants have roots and leaves and many veins that are called megaphyllous. Most pteridophytes are found in environments that are wet at least part of the time. They reproduce using spores, and some of those examples are ferns, equisetums, and whisk ferns. About 365 million years ago, the other branch of Euphylophytes arose as plants developed the ability to make seeds, and they are the spermatophytes. The spermatophytes are divided into two groups, the Gymnosperms and the Angiosperms. The Gymnosperms etymology comes from the Greek gymno, which means naked, and sperma, which is seed. These plants reproduce with seeds, so they are members of the spermatophytes. These seeds form on exposed cone scale. Gymnosperms are divided into four lineages: the cycads, the ginkgo, the gnetophytes, and the conifers. The conifers are the largest branch of the four, and they make up the great northern forests. However, gymnosperms grow worldwide in both tropical and temperate areas. About 130 million years ago, a very special group of seeds appeared on the earth. They use flowers to reproduce, and their seeds grow inside of fruits. They are the flowering plants, or the angiosperms. The largest group of plants with over 260,000 species. Flowering plants make up nearly 9/10 of the plant kingdom. The angiosperms etymology comes from the Latin angio, which means vessel, and sperma, which means seed. Basal angiosperms, and these are the flowering plants. Flowering plants, basal angiosperms, monocots, and eudicots are all part of this lineage. The angiosperms have their seeds contained within a fruit. Fruits form from the ovaries of the flowers. Before the seeds can form, the flowers produce pollen, and the wind or animals such as birds or bees spread the pollen to the carpel. This process is called pollination, and it helps the flowering plant have a large diversity. There are more than 250,000 flowering plants to date. Flowering plants can be seen anywhere that the sun reaches in order to photosynthesize. As we study plants, we will look mostly at the flowering plants, and we will see the function of their parts that allow them to be successful and grow in widely different ecosystems. Plants are very important. They keep the air that we breathe clean, and they serve as medicine, apparel, food for us, and many members of the animal kingdom. So friends, today I'm going to send you an email with a picture of our plant kingdom. You are welcome. You will need either 2 large pieces of paper or 4 smaller ones all taped together. But if you'd like, and it would be a great exercise, is to copy the plant kingdom. Just do your best looking at the pictures, and just take your time. This is a very long work that should take several weeks. Just work on a little bit every day. I'm looking forward to see what you can produce as your own plant kingdom. Thank you.